Living in someone else's script, even if you know every line by heart, you'll never get a single word that's truly yours. Just because you haven't been truly seen yet doesn't mean you don't deserve to be loved the right way. Sarah had a childhood sweetheart. He had given her not only a lot of love since they were kids, but also a huge amount of money. He was the soft-hearted type, completely devoted to love, the kind of guy everyone would call a good man. But of course, just when everyone thought they were finally going to make it official, Morrison suddenly left her behind and went abroad on his own. So I gritted my teeth and stepped in. I became Morrison's stand-in boyfriend, the kind that paid $500,000 a month. What I never expected, though, was that before I'd even earned enough, Morrison would come back early. He didn't feel even a shred of guilt when he returned. Instead, he pointed right in my face and had the nerve to yell at me, saying I could never make Sarah happy. He said that true happiness is when every little hot-tempered firecracker of a girl meets a man with a ridiculously good temper, a gentleman who's willing to humble himself and spoil her. He said, "You have no money and you don't provide any emotional value either. What kind of future can you possibly give Sarah? Anything you can give her, I can give. And what you can't, I can. Don't even tell me you love her. I love her way more than you ever could. You don't even know that my parents died in an accident overseas. I flew back to see Sarah the moment it happened, and I didn't even go to their funerals. If she knew how deeply I feel for her, she'd definitely be so moved she'd cry her eyes out." Omitted. She didn't get home until late that night. The second she walked through the door, she lunged at me and wrapped her arms around me. She rubbed against me like a cat, getting her perfume all over my shirt. This was probably one of those cute little habits she'd picked up with Morrison. "George, listen, today I lifted my finger and gently pressed it to Sarah's lips, signaling her not to say another word. "I get it. I understand everything. I'll pack up tonight and move out. My sugar mommy paid me $500,000 a month. 3 years in, my family had already bought 2 houses thanks to my gig as a stand-in boyfriend. I made my peace with that reality a long time ago. If she needed anything before I left, I wouldn't just smile and play along. I could even handle cleaning the whole villa from top to bottom." Omitted. She let out a long, deep sigh first. "Let's just have dinner." I immediately started piling food on her plate. I peeled shrimp and dropped them right in her bowl. Then I sat down across from her and started signing earnestly. What I was trying to say was, I want out. I'd only gotten halfway through signing leave when my phone suddenly pinged with an alert. 30 million had just hit my account. She said, her tone calm, "I know. I didn't forget your birthday present." Sarah looked at me with that clever, gentle look in her eyes. She said, her voice soft, "After going back and forth, I figured this was still your favorite kind of present. Happy birthday, George." She added, "I know." Omitted. I wiped the sweat from my brow. The first thing I did was lock that 30 million away safely. Then I signed it again. What I really meant was, I honestly want to... Sarah gave me another look of understanding. She huffed softly and rolled her eyes. "I get it. It's not like I said no. It's your birthday, after all, so I'll indulge you." And just like that, she dragged me into the bedroom. Who's really understanding who here, honestly? Omitted. I heard there's a new sign language debate class opening in the city center. I think I'll sign up and work on my speed. Because if you sign too slowly, you're bound to be misunderstood. Right now, my back is killing me. Omitted. Sarah had a childhood sweetheart who was anything but ordinary. Everyone was waiting for them to finally get together. But instead, he left Sarah high and dry and ran off overseas. So I signed a contract with her to get married. $500,000 a month. To be her mute childhood sweetheart stand-in. Doing the job honestly, playing the part, and quietly cashing in. At that thought, I instinctively reached up and touched the expensive watch on my left wrist. If I sold this watch Sarah had given me, I could make a killing. Feeling pretty pleased with myself, I snapped a picture of it and listed it on a resale site. But then, suddenly, a phone started ringing from under the pillow. My hand moved before my brain could stop it. By the time I registered that it was Sarah's phone, I'd already picked up. A man's voice came through the speaker. "That the guy's voice? Are you Sarah's driver?" For a second, I was speechless. I hesitated for a beat, then just gave a quiet, He went on, Tell that little brat Sarah for me that I'm coming back to marry her. I didn't waste a second. I hung up immediately. Then, I sent him the address for a psychiatric hospital. Is this how scammers operate now? Omitted, little brat was probably Sarah's childhood sweetheart, right? Those two really know how to stir things up. I sucked in a sharp breath. I frantically tried to recall the location I just sent. At the same moment, the bedroom door swung open. Sarah walked in to grab her phone. You're up. I panicked. My eyes darted around nervously, which immediately made her get the wrong idea. She walked over, frowning. Is your back still sore? I told you ages ago you needed to get more exercise. Yesterday was only 7 or 8 times. I was at a complete loss for words. She walked as she shrugged off her coat. Her slender fingers reached for a tube of ointment on the nightstand. A sudden idea hit me. I hurriedly signed to her. I need to go to the hospital. She nodded. Okay, I'll have a doctor come to the house. I quickly grabbed my phone and showed her. I signed another message. Go to this one. Can you go there and wait for me? I'll be right there. A flicker of confusion crossed her delicate face. Her long lashes fluttered. She looked at me with that deeply puzzled expression again. Well, a psychiatric hospital is still a hospital, isn't it? So why can't it also take care of a physical injury? That's a complicated question. Better not to dig too deep into it. Omitted, Sarah and Morrison ended up having an unexpected reunion at the entrance of the psych building. Omitted, it wasn't really that dramatic of a scene, though. Just in the middle of the crowded hospital lobby, Morrison suddenly dropped to his knees right in front of Sarah. He said, completely serious, I was wrong before. I was way too irresponsible. That's on me. I'm here now to apologize. Will you be my bride again? I've been punished enough. I've been diagnosed with severe depression, the kind that can't get better without you. I can barely breathe from the pain every day. It honestly feels like I could die at any second. I hid in the distance, covered in goosebumps. I wished I could just dissolve into the wall and vanish. As my eyes darted around, I accidentally caught sight of a promotional poster on the wall. This research project looked like it could make some good money. 20% annual return. Maybe I should think about putting in a little something. About 2 hours later, I saw on my phone that Sarah had called me 18 times. I sprinted all the way back to the lobby. Morrison was still kneeling there, sobbing uncontrollably. Sarah was leaning against the wall. Her lips were pressed into a thin line. Her usually cold gaze was now even more frosty. I walked closer. I heard her say icily to Morrison, Have you no shame? Do you think I'm an idiot? Morrison shuddered like he was being ripped apart. He pointed a shaky finger at me. Is it because of him? Sarah followed his gesture and looked at me. The darkness on her face disappeared in an instant, leaving just a trace of hurt and dissatisfaction. She hurried over to me. She looped her arm through mine, as if she was scared I'd bolt, holding on to me for dear life. She said to Morrison, Of course it's because of my husband. I've been married for 3 years. Mr. Ito, have some decency. Sarah looked up at me. She didn't bother hiding the hurt in her eyes anymore. She nudged me gently with her elbow, like she was pushing me to say something. I hesitated for a while. I ended up signing awkwardly. Actually, she loves you. I'm just a stand-in. Morrison had no clue what I was signing. And of course, the thick stack of papers I was holding suddenly went flying all over the floor. Sarah looked down and scanned the mess. She bent over and picked up one of the papers and held it out to Morrison. I don't think you get it, but I know what he meant. Let me translate for him. He invested in the hospital's research program, specifically for patients with mental problems like yours. Get treated as soon as you can. If you need money, my husband can cover the whole cost. As long as you stop embarrassing yourself in public. Was that really what I meant? Sarah, how in the world did you get that from what I signed? Omitted. My love is like the vows you make at a wedding. You are the one person who can't be replaced. You are the one I love the most. 3 years ago, it was you. Now it's you. And forever, it'll be you. On the drive home, Sarah sat in the car, staring at me nonstop. It was making me feel a bit uneasy. Aren't wedding vows just a formality anyway? I'd even sworn up and down that I'd be faithful to my wife. But the truth is, I've been secretly building up my own stash. The second that 30 million hit my account yesterday, I'd already started planning to divorce her. Take the money and go back to my hometown to live out my days. At the end of the day, I'd only known Sarah for 3 years and a month. If I didn't look like Morrison, I really couldn't believe she'd just randomly fall for a stranger. As if she'd read my mind, Sarah's eyes suddenly got red. Her voice went a little rough. "I can prove it to you." I didn't know how to respond. Finally, I just reached out and gave her a gentle pat on the head. You can't have your cake and eat it too. I'd learned that lesson a long time ago, the day she pulled out that prenup for me to sign. Omitted. He reached out and asked to meet me. That was the first time I actually felt a bit nervous because I couldn't speak. I just had to sit there and listen to him go on, without any chance to cut in. Then, he suddenly pulled out the receipt for my watch. A smug smirk played on his lips. "George, what you have is really nothing at all. But some things are things I didn't want before, but I can take back whenever I feel like it." He scoffed. "Sarah is basically using you as my replacement. Half the things she says are on a whim. You probably figured that out by now. Honestly, I'm the real main character here. I have cheat codes, I've got a system backing me up. I'll win Sarah back sooner or later." Morrison clearly wanted to embarrass me. He wanted to see me get angry and flustered. But I grabbed a pen and paper and wrote back. "Fine. How much is your system planning to spend to clear me out?" Morrison froze. I handed him my payment code without changing my expression. I wrote, "The platform fees are killer. Why don't we just do it in cash?" I finished writing, then took off my watch and showed it to him. The face, the clasp, the casing. I went over every little detail. But until the money actually hit my account, I kept that watch in a death grip and refused to let go. Morrison was completely baffled. He clenched his fist and was speechless for a good while. Finally, he gritted his teeth and slapped the check down on the table, putting on a big show of generosity. "Write whatever you want. Whatever number you put, it's yours. Just get as far away from her as you can." My eyes lit up right away. I carefully folded it and tucked it away. Then I signed to him. "Got it. I'll get on it right away." I hadn't even finished signing when I felt the chair next to me sink. Sarah was already there. She looked annoyed from head to toe. She reached over and clamped her hand on my arm. Her voice was ice cold. "You really don't know when to get lost. My husband can't talk. Stop bothering him with this crap." Sarah winked at me. Her eyes were clearly saying, "I know everything." My heart suddenly clenched. She continued, "Do you know what my husband just said? He told you to get lost. Got it? You're just asking for it." Did Sarah actually get it or not? She didn't understand a thing. She was taking this misinterpretation all the way to Antarctica. That check was for up to 10 million. Man, can we just stick to typing? Enough with the sign language interpreting. Omitted, Sarah grabbed my right hand and started interrogating me. "George, where's your watch?" I was at a loss for words. Just a little while ago, Morrison had already confirmed delivery on that watch, and I'd personally shoved it into his pocket. In business, integrity is everything, isn't it? She let out a dissatisfied hum. I immediately hung my head. I braced myself for the lecture. But the next second, my right hand suddenly felt heavier. Sarah pulled another watch out her bag and dropped it right into my hand. I gasped. She said, her tone even, "That last watch was only about $1 million. A little too cheap. This one is over 40 million. If you happen to lose it, no one would dare to pick it up. And if you try to sell it, no one would buy it either. Here, sweetheart, just wear it for fun." I was completely frozen solid. Sarah gave me a sly, triumphant grin. Then she came over and rubbed against me again, and only then did she get up and head back to the bedroom. For the first time, I genuinely thought being mute wasn't so bad. I was so stunned I didn't even dare to try and speak. That flex came out of nowhere. Maybe I should stick around a little longer? Who knows? Maybe I'll go from being a millionaire to accidentally becoming a billionaire. Omitted, hinting that I should get her something back. That night, I'd worked my ass off on a plan. After giving it a lot of thought, I solemnly placed on a nightstand a book. As a thank you gift in return. The title was Learn Sign Language for Beginners. She was so thrilled that she didn't come home for 3 whole days. The next time I saw her was at Sarah's office. I wasn't there to play driver for her that day, to give her a ride home. I came as an investor. I split what I had into 3 parts. I put about 10 million into this project so I could access it whenever I needed. I'd found a new tech project with a ton of potential. Normally, the assistant was supposed to take me straight to Sarah's office. But halfway there, I ducked into the conference room and sat down with a bunch of other small investors. For the project pitch, the assistant was stunned, completely speechless. Sarah, though, was all smiles, her eyes crinkling. My husband is making his own way, too. Once the office door shut, Sarah gave a light smile. Thank you for the investment, boss. I'll work hard to make you a return. I felt a little bad. I quickly wrote her a note. I honestly had no idea this subsidiary was under the Lose Holdings umbrella. This project has great potential on its own. I only put money in because I believed in the returns. I'm taking this investment seriously. She answered softly. Ma'am, I get what you're saying. Sarah lifted her eyes to meet mine. The soft light shimmered in her gaze, and I saw myself, shattered into pieces, reflected in them. She said, if you just trust me, I'll handle the rest. You actually have a pretty good eye for investments. That psychiatric research project you invested in before, there's a good chance it could win a Nobel Prize in a few years. I was taken aback. I wrote back, how do you know that years ahead of time? Sarah dropped her eyes. A flicker of sadness crossed them. She quickly suppressed it. She swiftly changed the subject. Oh, by the way, has your mom had her physical this year? You invested in that hospital project, right? Why not have her go there for her exam? You might even get a discount. Take her early this year. My mother loves a good bargain. The second she heard about a discount, she was on my case to schedule it. So the checkup was set up pretty quickly. And on that very day, Sarah and Morrison suddenly hit the trending list together. The paparazzi caught them at the same hotel, looking like they were on fire together. They checked in 3 days ago and walked out together 3 days later. When they left, Morrison could barely stand. His legs were so weak. Omitted. I silently opened that article, reported that tabloid account right away, and then I deleted the app. These gossip accounts that spy on people, they just love to stir up drama. This is obviously just trying to wreck a happy home. She pays me $500,000 a month. If Morrison and I went at it for 3 days, so what? Maybe I should boil some goji tea for Morrison to help him recover? My mom was sitting in a massage chair at this fancy clinic, and she started lecturing me. This is all the drive my own daughter has. George, if you ever treat Sarah poorly, I'll never forgive you. I just shook my head with a bitter smile. In the beginning, my mom hadn't approved of me marrying Sarah. But after they'd had a private conversation, just the two of them, I don't know what was said, but after that, her affection for Sarah had already far surpassed what she showed her own son. My mind was wandering, until the doctor called out my mom's name and told her to come in for her exam. I just stood up when a hurried nurse slammed into me. The paper she was holding went flying everywhere. The nurse kept apologizing. I rubbed my shoulder. Then I knelt down to help her gather them up. I flipped through a few pages, and my eyes suddenly stopped on one page. Patient, Morrison. Treatment, mandatory electroshock therapy. Period. December to December. Damn, that's that bastard, isn't it? Didn't the media say he and Sarah were having a passionate 3-day fling? Could his weak legs be from being zapped into submission? Omitted. This was something I'd never forget. I followed a medical intern into the psych research building next door. I greased a few palms to get the surveillance footage from the VIP treatment room for all 3 days. For those 3 days, Morrison had been inside getting zapped. In the video, Sarah appeared often. She was holding a book. Her eyes were cold, almost sinister. Morrison screamed and broke down more than once during the treatment. But Sarah just asked, her voice flat, "Is your head clearer now? Still following the system's orders?" Her terrifyingly calm demeanor even made me, sitting there watching, break out in a cold sweat. My fingers shook as I fast-forwarded. Then hit me. That fancy hotel the paparazzi had snapped, it was right next door to this place. The 3-day passionate fling was really just Sarah and Morrison spending those 3 days together during that treatment. Those 3 days, that's how they got through it. Sarah let out a cold huff. You made the mistake. Whatever punishment you get, you've earned it. Didn't your system warn you? You're being way too noisy. I can't even focus on my book. Do you know what this book is about? Sign language. It's the foundation for imitating everything. Oh, this is a book my husband gave me. Why would I read it to you? The footage stopped right there. In the freeze frame, Sarah's fingertips were gently tracing the page. She was frozen in that moment, her eyes so soft they seemed to melt. And opposite her, Morrison's face was contorted from the pain, his whole body a mess, letting out these crazed howls. I dropped back into my chair. A strange fear rose up inside me. It spread slowly. System. Could all of this just be one big excuse Sarah made up? She doesn't truly love Morrison. And look what happened to him. So what's next? Is it going to be my turn? Omitted. I must have been exhausted from the past few days. When I got back, I slept straight through till dusk. I was woken up by the sound of the front door opening. Sarah hung up her bag. She changed her shoes at the door. After sanitizing, she came into the bedroom to find me. As usual, she gave me a hug first. Then, like a kitten, she rubbed against me. After a bit, she mumbled, "Babe, I don't like the disinfectant smell on you." I froze. The flash of panic in my eyes, Sarah caught it immediately. She wrapped her arms around my neck. She made me look her in the eye. Sarah was stunning. She had a graceful figure. Her skin was so pale, it was almost blinding. She had a faint beauty mark under her left eye. Her whole face gave off a cold, stay-away vibe. Only I knew that when she was really feeling it, that beauty mark would glow a deep, bloody red. The love in her eyes was so intense, it was almost suffocating. It had this strange, mesmerizing pull. Unhealthy, but completely addictive. She was staring at me with that look right now. She said, "Babe, is this about the trending news from this morning?" "I've already handled that. Nothing happened between Morrison and me." Omitted. Wait. Did you take your mom for her physical today? Did it not go well? It's okay. The sooner we treat it, the better. Or did you find the treatment room? There's surveillance in there. I flinched reflexively. My reaction had already given me away. Sarah's eyes instantly dimmed. Her lashes lowered. She whispered, "Don't be scared of me. Morrison had it coming." I quickly signed, trying to get her to settle down. But she wouldn't let me go. As we stood there, she looked down and gently bit my finger. She said, "Please, George, don't be scared of me." Omitted. What was that feeling? Like a dangerous leopard that could easily tear open its prey's throat with its fangs, but instead chose to play the part of a soft little kitten rolling over and baring its belly for me, gently gnawing on my fingers like it was playing, desperately trying to prove that it was harmless and pure. That feeling I couldn't put into words. I made up an excuse about my stomach hurting and ducked into the bathroom, and she just waited quietly outside the door. She wanted me to carry her downstairs. She wanted me to spoon-feed her. She wanted me to keep my hands under the table so she could secretly play with them. She stuck to me like she couldn't stand to be apart for a single second. She kept saying, "George, don't leave me. Please, don't ever leave me again." Honestly, if she could be a little more normal, I actually might want to stay. But it was exactly this unhealthy possessiveness and clinginess that really scared me. Made me want to pack my bags and bolt in the middle of the night. But I still couldn't resist typing out a question. Honestly, Morrison didn't actually do anything. Isn't this a bit much? You did it to him. Am I next? But Sarah just clutched my shirt. She bit her lip and whispered, "What he owes, even 100 lifetimes wouldn't be enough to pay back. Baby, I really hope you never have to know just how damn much he and his system have it coming." Omitted. About what the hell this system was. That kind of thing. How could it actually exist in the real world? But they kept bringing it up, and they always said it with such straight faces. It kept me up for several nights. Tossing and turning, I kept going back to it. You'd never believe it. Until one night, I went out to take out the trash. I'd already been sleep-deprived. I was feeling out of it. The second I stepped out, I accidentally bumped into a woman and knocked her over. Wait, why was she standing at my door? I instinctively went to type an apology. But before I could, the woman started screaming at me. "I've been staking this place out for days just to catch you. So you're that disgusting pervert who takes upskirt photos of women." I was completely stunned. What the hell was she talking about? She kept on yelling, "Don't play dumb. We have on video, so don't even try to deny it." She shoved her phone in my face and played a clip that was going around online. On December 7th, there was this trending post someone had exposed a guy taking upskirt photos on the subway, and he'd said some sick stuff to the camera. The guy in the video looked almost exactly like me, but the whole thing looked a little off, somehow, like it had been stitched together, fake. About 5 seconds later, that video disappeared off the internet without a trace. She kept at it. Why isn't that piece of filth dead yet? Everybody needs to see your true colors. Even though someone gave us a heads up, we've had this place staked out for days. And the proof is all right here. Omitted, what is all this nonsense? I quickly got out my phone and typed out that I was mute. But before I could even finish, the woman slapped me across the face. She hit me and kept yelling. Being mute doesn't give you a free pass to be a pervert. I'm not exactly a calm person. There's no way I was going to take that. Seeing her still running her mouth, I hauled off and slapped her right back. With every ounce of strength I had, she clutched her face, stunned, looking like she couldn't believe what just happened, as if she truly thought I wouldn't fight back or talk back, as if I were incapable of defending myself, and as if I couldn't say a word, even though I really couldn't speak. I thought that slap would settle things. And let me explain myself. But the next second, she suddenly pulled a pair of scissors out of her bag and lunged at me. That crossed the line. I kicked her to the ground, took the scissors, and slapped her twice more for good measure. She curled up on the ground, whimpering. I took the chance to grab her phone and quickly went through her messages. There were several groups called Awakening. I searched a few key terms and found one account linked to a company called Mindful World. One post said, exposing a sicko who has been taking upskirt photos on the subway for years. Address, Mindful World. I checked online and found out Morrison was one of the investors. That was probably why Sarah went so hard on him. Omitted, Sarah rushed to the police station. She looked a bit rattled. When she heard the woman had brought a weapon, her eyes got red. Baby, from now on, if anyone so much as touches a hair on your head, you tell me right away. Don't try to handle it yourself. Promise me. You have to tell me. That woman, Mindful World, Morrison, none of them are getting away. As we sat in the car, Sarah still held my hand tight. Her gaze was so tense, it was almost suffocating. Like she was looking through me at someone else. Another George. I didn't know how to break the tension, so I just reached out and gently touched her face. I signed, I am okay. And also, I'm sorry for how I acted the other day. After watching that electroshock video, I was sure you'd do the same to me eventually. But now it looks like Morrison really had it coming. Sarah pressed her cheek against my palm. She nuzzled against it. She said, slowly and deliberately, I would never do that to you. You're not like him. You're not like anyone else. Do you get that, George? Omitted, like it was about to jump out of my chest. I got so flustered, I immediately looked away. I quickly signed to Sarah, trying to steer the conversation elsewhere. Morrison has a system. Does that mean you have superpowers too? Like telepathy or time travel? Did you come back from past life? She didn't give me a straight answer. She just told the driver, take us home. After she buckled in, Sarah looked up at me. Her face was calm. Ah, sign language is so hard. Baby, slow down. I can't keep up. Oh, I see. You're asking how I'm going to deal with him? I'll keep taking him to court until he's broke. You're clearly playing dumb. Stop twisting my signs, would you? I kept signing at her the whole ride, trying to get through to her. But she was too busy fixing her makeup. Babe, hold on. Let me finish my lipstick. She was in the middle of putting on her lipstick. On a whim, I leaned over and kissed her. I signed. Thank you for handling all this for me. Whether you get it or not, I don't care. The car went completely silent. Sarah was frozen stiff. It took her a moment to say, in a low voice. Her cheeks slowly turned red. Kiss me again. One more, and I'll probably get what you're saying. Omitted. In the second month after Morrison's return, this mute stand-in successfully won a bid for a plot of land downtown. After that, my investment returns started multiplying. Meanwhile, Morrison had been pushed to the brink of a mental breakdown. He'd lost several teeth. He had a noticeable lisp now. He made up fake videos to frame me and spread lies. Now he was facing a lawsuit, and it looked like he was going to jail. Everything had turned out completely different from what I'd expected. Someone once said, you know, the more a woman loves someone, the easier it is for her to lash out at him. Haven't you heard that before? True happiness is when every little firecracker of a girl finds a gentleman with an amazing temper who's willing to humble himself and spoil her. What I'm saying is, Sarah only loses her temper with me. We were childhood sweethearts for 18 years. The harder she goes on me, the more it means she loves me. She's just still holding a grudge about me leaving her. I sat there, speechless, in the restaurant I'd put money into. A customer had complained about 10 different dishes and insisted I, the owner, come out and apologize. I rushed over and saw that the one causing the scene was Morrison. I was going to just refund him and get him out. But he started taunting me first. Someone like you, who can't even talk, and you think you can help someone handle their emotions? What kind of emotional value can you possibly give a woman? He laughed, full of arrogance. You have no money, and you have no emotional value. What can you offer Sarah? Anything you can't give her, I can. Don't even talk to me about love. I love her more than you ever will. You don't know any of this, do you? My parents died overseas. I flew back to be with Sarah. I didn't even go to their funerals. If she knew how deeply I love her, she'd be so moved she'd cry. He was going on, and then he pulled out a check and slapped it down on the table. I'll put it right here. If you know what's good for you, take the money and hit the road. Stop wasting Sarah's time. I couldn't be bothered to type back. When he opened his mouth again, I grabbed a plate and smashed it right in his face. I typed out a message and showed him. Your system might be able to do anything, but from where I'm standing, you're just a pathetic loser chasing after a woman. Spare me this Sarah loves me so much routine. And as for a guy like you, if you can't get Sarah, find a new target. You're so wound up, I don't think you're all there either. Sauce and food scraps dripped slowly down Morrison's face. He was shaking, his fists clenched. His face went purple. Suddenly, he slammed his fist into his chest and tumbled off his chair. He started gasping for air. His face was twisted, like someone had their hand around his throat. What the hell? Don't die in my restaurant. That would be so unlucky. I immediately told an employee to call 911. As we were wrestling him into the ambulance, his phone slipped out of his pocket. It fell to the ground. The screen was still on. A screen recording was running. It had captured everything we'd just said, omitted, and on the other end of the call was Sarah watching it live. Morrison lunged for the phone. He screamed into it. Did you see that, Sarah? George doesn't love you at all. I'm the one who loves you so much it's killing me. Sarah, I can't live without you. You promised you'd marry me. Only half of Sarah's face was showing. She was quiet for a long time. A single tear rolled down her cheek, silently. My heart gave a sudden, painful twinge. Omitted, my time as a stand-in was probably going to end sooner than I thought. I did the math on what I'd saved. After paying her back the principal and interest, I'd have just enough for a small place for my mom in the suburbs. But all that night, Sarah didn't come home. Even if she came back, it'd be incredibly awkward. Omitted, I planned to see her in the morning, pack my things, and go stay at my mom's for a bit. She lives by herself. But when I went into the kitchen, breakfast was already laid out. The eggs were still warm. We didn't have a maid, and no one would come by early to cook. So Sarah had been home. She'd come home and made breakfast and then left again. What was that about? There was also an alumni event invitation on the table. I was about to pick it up and take a closer look when I heard footsteps behind me. Sarah had been home the whole time. Her hair was a little messy. It was loose over her shoulders. Our eyes met. That unspoken awkwardness filled the room. I sat down at the table. I looked down and started eating, forcing myself to act normal. She sat down across from me. She cut her eggs coldly. Then she said, "Did you check the invitation?" I sat up straight, shook my head. I pushed it back toward her. I signed. "It's your personal mail. I shouldn't just look through it." Sarah dropped her knife onto the plate with a clatter. Without even glancing at me, she walked straight into the study. The rest of the day, we didn't say a word to each other. She even made lunch and dinner herself. Omitted, but she never said a thing. She was upset, being moody. I wrestled with it till late. I stood outside her guest room, hesitating. I left a glass of warm milk on a little table by the door. I was so nervous. Then I snuck back to my room. Not long after, half asleep, I felt a warm body curl in my arms. She whispered, sounding pitiful, "Hold me. You know I was upset, right? You try to make it up to me, right? Then I forgive you." I couldn't help but laugh under the blanket. I wrapped my arms around her and held her tight. Sarah looked up at me. Her clear eyes held a love so deep it was almost overflowing. She said, seriously, each word deliberate, "I tortured Morrison purely because I hate him. He actually thinks it's love. He's lost his mind. Everything after I turned 18 has nothing to do with him. Now, you are the answer to every feeling I have. Omitted, after saying that, Sarah dropped her gaze and asked again quietly, "Did you read the reunion invitation? It says to bring a +1, but I'm already married. If I go by myself, that'd be so weird." Omitted, Sarah and I attended the university's alumni gala. On the way, she had to go meet the dean first, so she told me to go wait for her at the science building. My grades were never good enough to get into a top school like this, but for some reason, every step I took here felt strangely familiar, as if in some other timeline, I'd been here before, pulling all-nighters in this building. Working to dawn. This place is looking old, though. Should I consider throwing some investment at it? A book slammed down. A heavy dictionary landed next to me. An arrogant voice came from behind me. Well, if it isn't George. Fancy meeting you here." Morrison sauntered over. He looked like life had nearly broken him, but he was still trying to act tough. "Do you know where this is?" "This is where Sarah and I shared our first kiss." He laughed wildly. "She'd never tell you that. Women never forget their first. And I've already left my mark on her youth. This psycho. It made my skin crawl. I turned to get out of there, but I found the door was locked." Morrison was laughing as he messed with some equipment on the table. The old machines quickly overloaded and started sending up black smoke. Wires sparked and shorted out. Sparks were flying everywhere. Was he seriously trying to fry me in here? My body moved before my brain caught up. Without a second thought, I grabbed the dictionary and hurled it straight at Morrison. He didn't see it coming. He screamed and hit the floor. He was still holding that electric pen. He was sprawled awkwardly. At that exact moment, the door suddenly opened. Morrison's face instantly went pale. That electric pen that had been aimed at me suddenly twisted, and he shoved it straight into his own stomach. He dropped to his knees in front of me. He burst into tears. "George, please, have mercy. I know I messed up. I shouldn't have tried to take Sarah from you. I swear, there's nothing between her and me. We're just friends. I've stopped listening to the system. Do I really have to die before you'll finally leave me alone?" Omitted, "Do you think I'm stupid? There are cameras in here." I was about to look for the camera, but then I saw the camera had already been destroyed. Only the shell of it was left on the wall. I froze for a second. Just 1 second. Sarah looped her arm through mine and laughed softly. "Looking for the camera? It's been gone for a while. It was part of the system's task. But this works out fine, don't you think?" Omitted. Morrison was shaking like a leaf. He looked at Sarah, stammering. "It's all my fault. I shouldn't have had all those memories with you. I'll never bother you again. I didn't think George would actually want me dead. Please, George, have mercy." Sarah's eyes instantly turned cold. She cut him off sharply. "My husband might go easy on you, but I never said I would." She nudged the electric pen with the toe of her shoe. Her eyes were dark and cold. 120 volts. If it doesn't finish you off, then you've got some thick skin. Omitted. The system gave you one last task. Kill me, or kill George. But it didn't tell you there's a third option. Maybe the one who should die is you. Omitted. Sarah's whole reborn for revenge story. In her past life, Morrison must have put her through hell. So in this life, she hated him down to the bone. And me? In her past life, what did I do to deserve being treated the way she treats me now? Omitted. Does she truly love me? Or is she just using me to redeem herself? For some past life, person I don't even know, my mom couldn't help teasing me. Do you and Sarah still argue? Something this complicated is impossible to explain with sign language. I thought for a moment. Then I typed out a question. Do you think we're really in love? My mom looked at me like I'd grown a second head. I've got nothing but time. I read plenty of romance novels. And honestly, I never get why the characters in those books keep all their misunderstandings to themselves. Like they can't talk. And I know you can't actually talk. But she's always hanging all over you, isn't she? You could still type out an explanation, right? When I didn't answer, my mom clicked her tongue. Then she pulled out a file from the little drawer. It was from 3 years ago. The agreement Sarah had made her sign. My mom said, "You know, there's a huge age gap between you two. At first, I wasn't on board with you two being together. But then, she came to me with a prenup to sign. It said, if you and Sarah ever get divorced, for any reason at all all of her money and property would go to you. Man, something this ridiculous. How could I agree to that? And she said it with a straight face, that she owed it to you from a past life. That girl's got something wrong with her. So it really was because of some past life. I was still trying to wrap my head around it. Well, my mom elbowed me. I told you already. If you can't figure it out, go ask her yourself. She's right downstairs. God, you two are exhausting. You two are a couple. And here I am, at my age, stuck watching you two play lovey-dovey every day. Oh, and one more thing. After that physical, I got better. The doctor said if I'd waited a few more months, it would have been a disaster. Thank goodness you insisted I go. Omitted, Sarah had always been the most on top of it. She always made a point of reminding me. I got off the elevator, and sure enough, Sarah was sitting by the window. I was still debating whether to go to her, but she'd already seen me. She shook the snow off her jacket and jogged over. She looked like she had so much to say, but she stopped right before the last step. She dropped her gaze, trying to hold back the panic in her chest. She spoke softly. You had to see me like that again. I'm sorry. Can I explain it all to you slowly? In my past life, Morrison really did commit crimes. I interrupted her. I signed. I want to know about the me from before. Did I love you enough to die for you? Is that why you came back to make it up to me? Serais liebski ver. The panic she'd been holding back was almost spilling over. I thought she'd pretend not to understand like she used to, and pull out her phone to pretend she couldn't follow my signs. But she just said softly, I can understand sign language, George. Omitted, I've been misunderstanding you this whole time. I was always so scared that you had stopped loving me. Her eyes were getting red, a bit of self-mockery in her voice. In my past life, you must have loved me for a long time, but I never gave you anything back. The only thing I remember is how terribly Morrison tortured you. After that, my feelings for you just stopped dead. And in that very same lab, he'd finish the system's final mission and kill me with his own hands. I never saw it coming. The one thing I remember is that when the fire broke out, there was a man who reeked of disinfectant who desperately pulled me out. He knelt on the floor, kowtowing to Morrison over and over, begging him spare me. She closed her eyes. Her beautiful eyes looked like they were about to bleed. Her voice was rough and trembling a little. That man that day, it was you. You'd escaped from a psych ward. And that's why I'm scared of the disinfectant smell on you. Omitted, but she didn't take it. Sarah stood there, like a stray cat abandoned by its owner, looking so pitiful, waiting at the door. Snow fell on her hair and on her long eyelashes. They fluttered softly. She took a deep breath. Her face was pale. I actually think this isn't fair to you. You don't remember any of it. What happened in that other life shouldn't chain the you of this life. Let's get divorced. The moment she said that, she stepped back. I stepped forward immediately and pulled her into my arms. Sera froze. When she looked up at me, tears spilled from her eyes. She looked at me, completely lost. I've never been one to overthink things. I just do what I feel. So I reached out and gently brushed the tears from her cheeks. Then I cupped her face and kissed her deeply. I signed. I never asked for a divorce. But you need to understand, I'm not the person from your past life. The me right now, I don't love you that deeply yet. So please, get to know me all over again and really understand what the current me is really thinking. Then let's have a real, proper relationship. I'll keep waiting for the cold wind, for the falling leaves, for the fireworks on New Year's Eve, and for a better version of us. Omitted, when I was young, Morrison and I were the classic childhood sweethearts. He'd share his snacks with me, give me presents, make me laugh, and help me carry a lot of my burdens. His kindness, almost too much, sometimes made me feel guilty. But he always said, every girl deserves to be treated like a treasure. Before I was 18, I thought that was love, until he cheated me out of all my money and moved overseas with his whole family. He said to me, my father's business is huge. I have to go back and take over the family empire. And you know your family background isn't in the same league as mine. Don't make this difficult for me. That night, I tossed and turned and couldn't fall asleep. It wasn't heartbreak. It was disgust. So disgusted I wanted to vomit. The next day, my mom brought home a little kitten for me. She played with me and slowly said to me, love is about mutual respect and admiration. It's not one person just taking, and it's not one person always giving. If you mistake unconditional kindness for love, you'll end up getting taken for everything you have. Maybe it's just that you haven't met the person who can truly make your heart race. Omitted died in a car accident overseas. Their family business wasn't exactly clean either. In my junior year, he suddenly and mysteriously came back. I did some digging and found out what he'd been up to all those years. We were supposed to be done with each other, but he seemed to know exactly how everything would play out. He always showed up when I needed him most, as if he knew in advance what I'd face. And he could always say exactly what I was thinking. A lot of potential disasters were quietly smoothed over because he was there. He said he loved me. He said he was still that same little brat. But the very next day, he stormed into the lab and started trashing the place. He screamed as he smashed. Why hasn't my affection score gone up at all? This guy's mental state, was he really all right? Omitted. I had almost no memory of him. We'd probably missed each other many times. My experiment data had been completely ruined by Morrison. Before my meeting with the professor, a shy guy handed me a clean, well-organized report. He must have stayed up all night to run the simulations for me. He smiled. I happened to be free last night, so I practiced a bit. Your group might be able to use this data. Feel free to use it. No need to thank me. His voice was crisp. It had an infectious, sunny warmth. I could tell he was just being genuinely kind. So I added him as a friend, thinking I'd properly thank him later. Then, just a few days later, he was all over campus news, saying he'd been caught taking upskirt photos on the subway. Morrison laughed and sent me the story. He showed it to me. Hey, isn't that George from your department? I never figured he'd be that kind of guy. What a piece of trash. I'm going to post on the anonymous forum to warn the girls to stay away from him. Omitted. George dropped out citing mental health problems. I heard he was forcibly committed to a psych ward. That was completely out of my hands. We were really just classmates. At best, I could only offer a little sympathy. I donated $500,000 to his treatment fund and had it sent to his mom. A few months later, I heard his mom got into a car accident and was diagnosed with a terminal illness. The fate of this mother and son was truly heartbreaking. In contrast, Morrison's spirits kept getting better. Too bad, my affection score for him still hadn't budged. Omitted that I realized. Morrison had long been tied to some system, and I'd always been his target. He got rid of his rival, George, first. He checked off every task one by one, but my affection score hadn't gone up a single point. So he chose to eliminate me and move on to the next target. I never expected that the only one who would run into the fire for me would be George. He broke the glass and jumped in. His throat was scorched by the smoke and fumes. He slowly dragged me out. I must have been heavy, right? But that lunatic had already cut my artery. I was probably beyond saving. When I saw George on his knees in front of Morrison, kowtowing, begging him to spare me, the tears just flooded out. I was absolutely furious, and I blacked out completely. A puppet, a side character, wasn't allowed to fight back against the system. Not loving Morrison, was that wrong? If I could go back, I wouldn't lose to him again. If I could go back, I want to meet George all over again. Give him a chance at a better life. Omitted. By then, Morrison was still overseas. In this life, our paths had completely diverged. He never even got into the same university. We had no connection at all. Fortunately, this time around, he wasn't the one who fell first. All he cared about was money. He couldn't talk, so I was the only one who had ever heard his voice. Only me. So he's mine now. Omitted. On our 4th wedding anniversary, I had a little surprise for Sarah. Flowers, confetti, a party, and her favorite little island in the Pacific. In the past few years, I'd done well on a few investments. Buying a little island really wasn't that big of a deal. But while everyone was clapping and cheering, she rushed inside to change and put on her jewelry. She grabbed a bite of cake as she walked past me. Thanks. I love you too, babe, but I got a contract to finish. I'm running late. Can you drive me to the airport? Oh, and here, this is for you. She casually shoved a paper into my hand. Then she turned to grab the presents. She was still telling me to zip her dress. The surprise I'd planned for 2 weeks was over in 30 seconds. But the smile on my face, I just couldn't wipe it off. It was harder to stop than a machine gun's kickback. What now? My mom came running out after us. She handed us both an umbrella and gave me a little nudge. I frowned and signed immediately. Mom, Sarah's really busy. Don't keep criticizing her. But my mom just sighed. I'm telling you to stop grinning like an idiot. Take a good look at what's in your hand. I looked down at the paper. One quick glance and I froze. What? A pregnancy test result? Wait, she just shoved that at me? My mom was right there, urging me. What are you waiting for? Drop everything. Take her to the hospital. Your wife is pregnant, you know? She's your wife. You need to take care of her yourself. I opened the umbrella immediately and ran through the pouring rain. I caught up to Sarah in the rain and took her hand and held it tight. Love isn't about guessing in silence, and it's not about repaying debts with a second life. It's about someone who's willing to run after you through the rain and take your hand. You were never anyone's shadow. You're the one who holds the umbrella out into the storm for someone else.